Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nutanix webinar today. I hope everyone's staying safe and sound. We have Amr here who will be taking us through this presentation. I'm going to hand it over to Amr now to take over. Over to you, Amr.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy. So today we'll talk about Nutanix Enterprise Cloud Platform. So everyone knows, hopefully everyone knows about Nutanix. Nutanix is they invented the concept of HCI, or they bring it to the end user enterprise customers in 2009. And from then, we started building private clouds and extended that to the public clouds. So let me start with introducing myself. My name is Amr Abdeshafi. I'm a senior consultant with Redington Gulf. I'm based in Dubai, UAE. I work with our partners to doing sessions like this on daily basis. I cover the, by the way, I cover the region. So any of you who wants to ask more questions, feel free to reach out. And I help with the customer meetings and all of that. So our agenda for today is, first we'll talk about Nutanix customer journey, how we started our journey with our customer, and what we are standing right now. Then we'll talk about the enterprise cloud platform, how it's structured, what products. We say platform, so it's not just a product. We have a multiple of products that complement each other. And we'll end it off with AUC, which is now it's buzzword for work at home, work from home. So what is Nutanix offering for AUC? And then the supported workload on Nutanix and the support of Nutanix, and we'll talk about it in briefly at the end. So our customers before Nutanix had this problem. They had what we call three-tier infrastructure. If you can see here in the left, the infrastructure is structured from different vendors, different layers, network, storage network, and servers. Every layer will have a different vendor, different support, different purchasing cycle. So our customer IT people had very limited time for innovation and doing a lot of just doing a lot of day-to-day activity, just maintaining this infrastructure or upgrading. So the cycle of buying or the process of acquiring a new hardware or a new software is it's too long, and it's all of this is hurting the business to grow. So if the business want to deploy a new application and this application requires new hardware, so think of it adding new servers, doing the compatibility list, all of this takes a lot of time for the administrators to do that. So some of our customers went for some of the customers went for the cloud. Why cloud? Because it's easy, it's pay as you grow, it's one-click operation. I need software, I need to deploy a new product right now for the business. I can just one click, I can deploy the virtual machines and install it, and continuous innovation. So if you have subscribed to any of the major hyperscales like cloud, like AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, you will get a notification every 3 weeks or every month for new products and updated features in the product, in the existing product. Every cycle they release their newsletter, you will have both of them. So why is this? Because it's software defined. So what enables the cloud to grow, what enables the customer on the cloud to grow, it's everything is software defined. So software defined means continuous integration and continuous development, new products, new features, new customer can be onboarded very fast. And with machine learning and hyperscale, we can achieve this on the cloud. What Nutanix is set to do is bring this cloud-like environment, software-defined everything, pay as you grow, one-click operation, continuous innovation to the end user customer, our customers. So Nutanix customer journey, we started with our customers to remember the three-tier infrastructure, the multiple layers. We modernize their IT with HCI. So instead of having multiple layers, multiple points to manage, we give him one box that has the storage, the network, and the compute inside it, and he just manage the application or manage the apps that he wants to focus on, the real value for the business. Then we went with the customer to build an enterprise private cloud inside his infrastructure. So it's truly a lot of customers right now, they say, we have a cloud, we have a private cloud, but it's lacking the main pillars of cloud, which is automation, which is monitoring insights, and self healing and all of that. So with Nutanix, we truly build enterprise cloud for our customers, and then we extended this cloud to multi-cloud services. So when you ask the CIOs and CTOs, they say the way to go is hyper-cloud, not private only, not public only. So we did the extension with public and which is AWS and Azure. So this is Nutanix portfolio. Actually, not all of Nutanix products are right here, but everyone knows about Acropolis. Acropolis is our core HCI solutions that virtualize the storage and do the scale-out architecture. We just when you increase one more node, we'll talk about it in a bit. When you increase one node, you increase the cluster resources for storage and network and compute. And we have our own hypervisor called Acropolis Hypervisor, or HV for short. It's two different products. So Acropolis Hypervisor is built in, any customer can use it. It's without any additional cost. It's very competitive features like Enterprise Plus features for the competition. We bring it for the customer without any additional cost. Customer want to use it, use it. It's free. If he doesn't want to use it and use another hypervisor, we fully support that. And we manage these two with Prism. Prism is single plane management software that manage actually not this two only. It manage all Nutanix, almost 95% of Nutanix products is managed through single plane of glass called Prism. And we have another solutions. We'll talk about them later on. I will just emphasize here in volumes. So a lot of the customer ask me, we have the HCI, now we don't have SAN. I want to have a shared LAN between two virtual machines. For example, I have Microsoft file server, a cluster or a SQL cluster. I want to do a shared LAN between them. So with volumes, I can do that. With volumes, I can map the storage of Acropolis to a physical machine that used to get a LAN from the SAN. We can totally replace the SAN with volumes. And the other solutions, we'll talk about it in a bit. So this is our core portfolio or our core solution to the customer. This is when we go to the customer in the beginning, we'll talk about our core. What is the core? It's any hardware which is NX or DX. NX is Nutanix OEM hardware. So we get our hardware from an OEM manufacturer and we sell it to the customer. Or DX, in DX case, it's our OEM is HP. So we get from hardware from HP and brand it as DX or as Nutanix hardware and sell it. Which hardware? Any DL360, 380, and Apollo servers. We can sell it through joint partnership with HP. And any hardware, we have a supported a very large supported HCL hardware compatibility list with a lot of manufacturer like Dell EMC, like Cisco, like HP, normal HP, Lenovo, Huawei, IBM. We have a lot of ways we can run Nutanix on top of it. So Nutanix itself, Acropolis, it's hardware agnostic. So when I say any hardware, I will say again any hypervisor. So we support ESXi and Hyper-V, and we have our own hypervisor, as I mentioned, AHV, which comes without additional cost. And we manage all of this through Prism. So Prism is management of the hypervisor. I can create a virtual machine, delete virtual machine, power on, power off, edit network. All of this, I can do it from Prism, even HV, Hyper-V, and ASXi. We just integrate with the vCenter or SCVMM. And we manage, of course, Acropolis, which is essentially the storage. I create a new storage container or LUN and map it to the ESXi or to the Hyper-V, and automatically map to the. I don't need to create it from Acropolis and then do add the data store in the ESXi. It's automatically done, run the script in the backend, and I can provision the virtual machine on top of it right away. And manage the hardware from what we call lifecycle management. I can upgrade the firmware, and I can upgrade the I can upgrade the drivers, and all of these upgrades, and also I can upgrade the hypervisor. All of this can be done using single one-click management. So I just click upgrade, and it will take one node in maintenance mode, and will do the upgrade process, whatever is hardware or Acropolis as a storage or the hypervisor. And once it's finished, it will bring it back into the reboot it and bring it back into the cluster and do rolling upgrade later on. So how we did the HCI, how is that? So we'll talk about evolution of enterprise infrastructure. So in like late 90s, we had this infrastructure. It's a storage. It's a server that has a direct attached storage mapped to it, and on top of it we have application running on OS. So this is very low, low in availability and scalability. So then come virtualization. Virtualization it was introduced. What is the biggest enabler for virtualization? What is the rule for virtualization? We have to have the shared storage. So this is shared storage. We have the availability to have multiple virtual machines running on one node. And if this node is going down, or I have a maintenance or anything, I can easily live migrated from one node to another. If the node is totally down, I can the virtual machines will restart on another node. So this is HA and vMotion. But we ended up with a lot of storage containers or a lot of storage boxes to manage, and we have the SAN. So actually we ended up in a management hell. We have the storage itself, we have the SAN boxes, the SAN network switches, the hardware of the servers, multiple vendors, different point of troubleshooting, different point of upgrading. All of that is just ahead. So what Nutanix is set to do, to replace all of that in one box. This box will have the storage, the compute, and the network inside it, and we can the hardware can be any hardware of your choice or the customer choice, and we can scale literally indefinitely. So what is the minimum number of nodes? We have three number of nodes. Then it's the minimum number of nodes is 3, and we don't have a hard limit to scale. And we support, as I said, multiple hypervisor and Kubernetes for the cloud native apps to run on top of it. So how we do it? So in normal 3-tier infrastructure, we have a storage box or a SAN. That SAN will have just a bunch of disks sitting behind a 2 storage controller or storage processor. This is itself, by itself, it's just a performance bottleneck, because when you exceed the performance of the storage controller, you will reach it. You may not reach it, but if you reach it, you will reach it. If it's just, you cannot scale out of it. You have to add a new sandbox and do SAN migration and all of that. We will replace and of course our servers are sitting there, and on top of it is the hypervisor. So we replace the hard disk, just a bunch of disks which is pulled there, and we replace it by distributed hard disk or flash or NVMe. What we mean about distributed, each node will have one SSD minimum and two HDDs, and we can have all flash with NVMe, and we can scale, depends on the hardware of the server, we can add more hard disk and SSDs. And instead of having just two storage controllers, what we mentioned is the bottleneck, we have something called controller virtual machines, or CVM for short. This controller virtual machines is one per node. So if you have 3 nodes in the cluster, it's fine. I have 3 storage controllers. If I have 10 nodes in the cluster, I have 10 storage controllers. So this is web scale. You remember in the cloud, it's able to scale because it's software defined and it has a web scale architecture. And when we have a CVM per node, it's a virtual machine. So it enables us to have any hypervisor, as I mentioned. So we can have any hypervisor, any hardware, because it's a virtual machine, can run on any hypervisor or any hardware. And the CVM itself will give us a great performance enhancement, what we call it data locality. So we have here in node 1, we have 3 virtual machines. These 3 virtual machines, its data will be stored inside by the CVM, kept local on this server. If I'm doing a write, I will write one copy on this server and I will write another copy on another server. Why we do it 2 writes? Because the availability. If this node goes down or the server goes down, I have another copy of my data in another node. When I'm doing a read, I'm just going from the virtual machine to the hypervisor, local hypervisor, in-kernel hypervisor, to the CVM. The CVM will have direct access to the hard disk or the flash. Actually, when we're doing a read, it will be from the flash, from the hot tier, or from NVMe if the server have NVMe. So we'll always read from the hot tier. We'll read from the hot tier and get back to the virtual machine. So this is the short, we call it data locality, and this is the shortest path for data. Okay, this is enable Nutanix to have unprecedented performance and enable us to scale without any without any limits. Here in UE, we have a cluster with more than 200 nodes for VDI. We'll talk about VDI. So we mentioned we will store it in 2 nodes. So I have here 4 node cluster or more. So this 4 node cluster have the CVM built in, and all of the CVMs are talking to each other and doing a cluster between each other. So I have 2 virtual machines, red and blue. I hope you can see it. If a virtual machine moved from one node to another, its data will be following it to keep it local on another node. If a node and the other copy of the data is distributed across the other node. Why we do it distributed? Because we have, again, to support the scalability, and if your one node goes down or the data of one node goes down, I can rebuild it from a distributed node, so everyone will pinch in and rebuild the data. It's faster to do that. So this is what we call RF2. So this means if one node goes down, I'm fine, my data is there. If another node goes down, I'm in trouble. So this is why we have something called RF3, replication factor of 3. This means I have 3 copies of data, but and the advantage here, if 2 nodes goes down at the same, let me emphasize at the same time, 2 nodes goes down at the same time, I'm fine. The third one, I'm in trouble. But what is the probability of 3 nodes goes down? For us, once one node goes down, I will start rebuilding the data from the different nodes right away. If a disk goes down or one node goes down, the Nutanix services will kick in and start rebuilding the data. So we'll calculate the mean to avoid the mean time between failure. If it's just hours, and I have enough space in my cluster. If another node goes down, even if I am RF2, I am totally fine. So this is what we talked about. The minimum number of nodes are 3 for the data center. We have another use case, very big use case, is remote office and branch office. So with Prism and Prism Center is just a virtual machine that can manage additional virtual machine, can manage multiple of clusters. With Prism Central, I can see and manage and upgrade, one centralized upgrade all my remote sites. I can do a backup, a reverse backup. So I have my main data center will have a big storage nodes, and I have 50 remote sites. The 50 remote sites doing a backup and replication to the main site. And if one site goes down, I'll just ship in a new hardware, and I will be off and go. It's just that simple. And for robots to be more economical and cost effective for the customer, we support 1 and 2 node cluster. Important point to note here is 1 and 2 node cluster cannot be migrated to 3 node cluster. So the customer cannot start from 1 node and he can start with 1 node and upgrade it to 2 node cluster, no issues, but we cannot upgrade it to 3 node cluster. So this is important note here, because it's built another way. So actually, what we in Nutanix did, we did a storage virtualization. We changed it how the storage was set in the data center. Instead of having a SAN centralized storage, we changed it as a distributed storage. So Acropolis itself, what is the features of Acropolis? It's all the enterprise storage features are there. So I have snapshots and clone. We have data tiering, compression and deduplication. RF2, RF3 we talked about. Erasure coding, some of you may know about it, but it's another data saving technique. Synchronous replication, asynchronous replication, and we have here synchronous and asynchronous. Everybody knows about it. NearSync is a Nutanix solution to do because synchronous is very high. It has a high demand of the network and the latency between the two sites. We are doing something near synchronous, which means I can give the customer 1 minute to 15-minute RPO without the network prerequisite. And of course, we are secured because the software company. We emphasize on security, so all the software is built to be locked down, and we support that at rest encryption. So this is Prism. Prism is a management solution, as I mentioned. This is the main dashboard. It gives you an overview of the cluster. What is the hypervisor running? How many nodes I have? What is the storage capability, storage utilization? Performance-wise, IOPS, bandwidth, latency, all of this I can see right away, and the CPU utilization. And this is the main thing here. If health is good and data resiliency is okay, these two are green, I can walk away. I have nothing to do to touch my Nutanix. I can do another things. I will be free to another thing. If there is any issues or any alerts, you will see it right away once you open the Nutanix Prism solution, and it will send you an alert if there is any issue. You will get an alert, of course. This is a VM dashboard. You can see here the virtual machine. Whatever is running on hypervisor, any hypervisor, you can see the virtual machine. You can create a virtual machine. You can see the details of the virtual machines, and you can see the performance of per virtual machine. The other thing is hardware. This is very inside the same console without logging into another console or anything. I can manage the hardware. I can see it logically. I can see how each block is each block is the hardware, it's the chassis itself that can contain one or more servers. We have blocks that have 4 servers inside it with 2 redundant power supply. We have blocks with 2 servers, and we have blocks with only one server. And this is only 2U servers. So this block can virtualize your customer workload. All flash has a great performance, and instead of having a full rack, we just give him one block to use server. This is the storage view. Again, the performance, the capacity, the data saving, all of this I can see from Prism. Here is the health view. I can see if there is any issue. We run periodically something called Nutanix cluster check. It's NCC. It's run periodically if there is any issue like hard disk usage, like a service is not running properly. All of that I can detect it from all the nodes, and I can see it here, and it will reflect in the main dashboard. This is capacity planning. This is with Prism Pro. So everything is in Nutanix is inside Prism. I can enable additional features with a license, or additional features with just an upgrade. If I have a license, have a compression and enable, and I did upgrade from 4.6 to 5.10. So the technology of compression is evolved, right? So once I just did the upgrade, I get a additional storage in my capacity. Or I can do an if I have something, if I need something like capacity planning, I just enable a trial license for 30 days, or I can buy the license of Prism Pro, and I don't need to change or deploy a new software on new virtual machines. So all of this are just, you have it inside your Prism. You just need one click away to enable it, or to upgrade it. This is network virtualization. This is with AHV only. Here I can track. Most of the customer goes like, wow, I never see something like this before, because you can track the virtual machine running on what host. The host is connected with 4 internet network ports into the switch. Which network ports are connected to which switch port is there. And if there is any alert, I can easily see if one port is having a problem, or the whole switch having a problem. It's very easy to troubleshoot, very easy to have a visibility on the network. This is the dashboard of Prism Pro, Prism Central. This is, you have multiple of cluster. I can have a eagle eye view of all the clusters I have. Prism Central is not an additional license. It's just one more virtual machine to have a centralized view of all my Nutanix clusters. So with Nutanix AHV, I have the ability to do native high performance hypervisor. I can integrate it, will be integrated with Prism. I have trusted because it's based on KVM, so it's trusted by all the. We didn't reinvent, by the way, the hypervisor. We just bring KVM and do a bit of performance enhancement here and there, and added a manageability to it through Prism, and that's it. And we will talk about the micro-segmentation and service chaining later on with Nutanix Flow. So to come back here, we finished Nutanix Core. We'll talk about Nutanix Essentials products, which is Prism Pro, Calm, Flow, and Files. So essentials, or our customer who has needs essential products, is looking for consolidate file server. He already consolidated the 3-tier infrastructure, and he wants to have a file server inside Nutanix, and everything is managed through Prism. We can automate using Calm. So IT workload, like I need to deploy so the IT right now, they deploy a virtual machine and doing update and customize it. We will deploy an application. Application means end-to-end application, multiple layers, configure it and give it to the end user, which is the developer most of the case. to work on it right away. Manage is additional management through Prism Pro. It's additional license we'll talk about, and features we'll talk about it. And secure through Flow. Flow is a east-west micro-segmentation, and we'll talk about it in a bit. So file services. So we have our own like the customer had usually will have a storage SAN and NAS solution or as file server solution. So the file server can be hardware, NAS box with a storage and all of that, or can be a virtual machine. Most probably will be a Microsoft file server. So there is a two problem here. If he has a storage or a physical box through a net app or a AMC Iceland or anything, he's paying premium for the features of this box, and he's buying for probably a 5-year period. So he needs now 10 terabytes, but he bought 25 terabytes because he never knows what is in 5 years, what is his data will grow into. So with Nutanix files or the other solution, sorry for that. So the other solution is Microsoft File Server, which has a lot of it has a limited functionality, or not let's say limited functionality, but it has manageability issues and scaling issues. If you want to replicate it, the manager will run around with the backlogs and all of that. So so with Nutanix files, we introduce a software defined file server solution. So it's a software, so it's just a virtual machine utilizing, but software defined, so it can scale, it can replicate, and all of that. And we'll give the customer the performance of a physical NAS box like NetApp and features of something like Iceland for the scalability by utilizing Nutanix Acropolis. So Nutanix Acropolis will have the data tiering, will have the whole performance capability and data saving techniques, and Nutanix file will utilize it. Okay. And we'll give so it's just a brief how we do it is just a 3 virtual machines. It's a cluster of virtual machines are running on top of Nutanix cluster, taking the storage from the cluster and virtualizing the storage to the end user through NFS or SMP. And we'll give our customer a file analytics solution completely free, included with the software. You can just deploy one more virtual machine. It will give you insights and audit trail on your file or SMP file usage and security. So if you can see here, this is the capacity trend for this customer is started from 30 by day is increasing or decreasing. You can see who's most active, who's trying to access something he doesn't have access to, who's top files that people are accessing it, what is the file distribution like, how many videos, how many images, how many audio files, all of that. I can see the breakdown or file distribution and access patterns. So by day, by hour, I can see how many file reads, how many file writes, renames, all the access I can, or all the actions I can get the information on it. So I can have, this is to do capacity consolidation or capacity capacity saving. I can see this is 50 GB that no one is using, over 1 month old, and I can check and know. And the other thing is audit. This is the dashboard. I can do a multiple of customized dashboards, and I can customize this graphs, and I can do an audit. Audit is just I can search by a file. I can see who's deleted it, who last edited, and all of that. I can search by user I can see his activity. And with audit and abnormal anomaly detection, I detect if if someone is trying to got access to the file server and trying to delete multiple files. So this is very good for if someone is caring about security. So the administrator will get a notification and he can act on it. So the other thing with our essential products is automation. As I mentioned, I can automate the full application lifecycle. So if the application is a database, application server, and web, or the front end, all of this I can deploy each virtual machine. I can configure it, link it to I can link application to the database. I can link web to or configure it by the name or by the IP, and all of this, and give it to the end user and give self-service capability to the end user to utilize it. So how Calm will work by we utilize something called blueprint. So blueprint will define the blueprint component, like how many virtual machines, the application configuration and network, and then we'll define a policy: who can access it, network, who can access it from where, dependency, and all of that. And we consolidate it in a blueprint, and each time you run the blueprint or the end user runs the blueprint will have the same application. So this is very good for DevOps scenarios or for a DevOps customers. Flow is our with HV, so Flow will work tightly with HV only. So this is our SDN solution. So we have the micro-segmentation functionality from the software-defined networking. This means I can protect my virtual machines from east-west traffic. What we call is east-west traffic is basically is a VM to VM communication. So I have my data center, maybe some customers will have only one virtual machine, one VLAN or two, couple of VLANs. Inside the VLAN, machine, and we can do multiple things. We can do quarantine, we can do zero trust, like this virtual machine cannot communicate to anyone unless I tell it to communicate to the end user or another virtual machine on these ports. For example, the application should not talk to anyone uh, 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 unless it is a database server or this database server by port 1443, a database or port HTTP, whatever the database is working on. So this gives us very tight security to protect the user or the customer from something like ransomware. So ransomware happens when someone gets access to one of your virtual machines or one of your inside the customer workload, and he can spread easily linearly, so if or east west, so he in the same subnet, so he can encrypt all the virtual machines. So if you have Flow, he cannot do that because he will not be able to communicate to any other virtual machines. Only one virtual machine will be infected. This is one-click operation. Everything with Nutanix, we collect one-click deploy, one-click operation, one-click scale, add one more node. So this is with Prism Pro and Prism Central. I can do one-click scale out and scale in. I can one-click upgrade multiple of clusters at the same time. I can have an operation inside like a behavior-based alerting. So we have a machine learning analytics solution called XFIT. It monitors the virtual machines and gives insight on how we can remediate this anomalies and all of that. One-click planning. and capacity, one-click capacity infrastructure and one-click planning. So I can add a new project. I have a coming new project application is being deployed. I can see or forecast what will sorry, what will happen if I deploy this number of virtual machines, maybe 5, 6 virtual machines, maybe tens of virtual machines. I can see the cluster will sustain this workload, or I need to buy a new hardware. One-click infrastructure optimization is what we call it is VM right size. It will give me insight. What is the virtual machine is running? It's running running out of capacity. So this is underutilized, under provisioned virtual machine, or over provisioned. I give it 16 GB and it's almost using 2 or 3 GBs, so I can reduce the RAM, or it's over just taking a lot of resources. We call it poly, or inactive virtual machine. It's just someone deployed a virtual machine. No one is using it. There is no even an OS on site or anything. It can detect that and tell us what to do. So it's not just monitoring the memory, it's monitoring memory, CPU, and storage. Application mobility, I can migrate my applications through cross hypervisor DR. So this application mobility is a big topic, but I will summarize it in 2 points. So the main site can be VMware VMware cluster, and the DR, instead of paying for VMware HCI license in the DR, it can be AHV, and we replicate from main site to the DR and do the failover. And once the disaster is done and I want to fail back, I can do a reverse replication from AHV to VMware, and I do a failback. So this is a very good use case to save. The customer have to have Nutanix in both sides, but it's a good use case to save costs on the hypervisor. And I can migrate from VMware to HV using software called Move, or from the cloud to HV from specifically AWS cloud to HV. So with Nutanix Enterprise products, we are enabling the customer to have a multi-cloud experience, or cloud-native application experience. So Nutanix Enterprise is all about operate multi-cloud, build modern application like Kubernetes and all of that, eliminate the cloud boundaries. So it's not my private cloud, it's not AWS, it's not Azure, it's not just islands, it's all in one. So to operate, we have the iBeam, which is our multi-cloud governance solution. Means I can monitor the spendings and do a cost optimization for my cloud spendage. I can do intelligent purchase planning. So if I have a new project, I can go to Beam. I can tell it I have this much of workload I need to deploy. It will give me the cost in each cloud, whatever is private, Nutanix, or public, and I can deploy. I take my decision and deploy it based on the cost of it. And centralized financial governance solution. So I'm monitoring all the cloud. It gives me a recommendation to reduce this virtual machines or this application tier from that, because cloud is t-shirt sizes, right? From X large to large. So I will save money this way. And at the end, I can do budget setting for the department itself. If the department is using different clouds, I can consolidate them into one bill to this department. So mainly Beam is for the cloud user or native or cloud focused users. And we can automate security compliance to ensure everything is checked based on the compliance baseline or security compliance baseline. The other thing is building a cloud native applications with Carbon and Era and objects. We talked about volumes. So Carbon is a Kubernetes solution. So if it's one-click Kubernetes solution, so means I can deploy a Kubernetes cluster and the developer can start using Kubernetes and deploy the pods just after the Nutanix administrator deployed it using one click. It is very easy to deploy and very a good use case for the end user. Era is a database management solution and automation, so I can deploy the machine, the database server. I can provision it, or I can do the copy management. I can copy the database from production to UT through Era. Without copying it, it will be based on the snapshots. Object is a scale-out S3 compliant object storage. So Object is our solution for object storage. So it's very, it can scale to petabytes, very cost-effective solution for the customer who's looking for something like an S3 solution on-prem. So we'll talk about now we'll talk about Nutanix platform for VDI or for end user computing. So the IT challenges for VDI is poor user experience. So VDI before HCI, it was horrible to deploy because if you are planning to deploy it for 100 users, and design of it is totally different than planning it to 1,000 users or 3,000 users, because it's the design and the components, the scalability is you cannot just scale 100 user in 3-tier to 300 user even. Unpredictable availability and security, because cost will go up. The availability of the solution, maybe something happen. All of that is totally unpredictable. VDI project to deploy and hand over. This is a very crucial part. VDI solution, I have seen it to take a lot of time to just to get it to the end and the user acceptance phase. Complexity and cost, we talked about it. So what we are looking to solve with Nutanix is excellent end user experience, so and consistent when the users increase or number of user scales. Always on availability, utilizing Nutanix Acropolis and Nutanix platform. It always are available. It's high performance, faster time to delivery to the project end, like the project life cycle, and improved efficiency. So with Nutanix, we solution for VDI, we have our HCI solution, which is Acropolis, Prism, and Flow. Flow it plays a crucial part with VDI because it secures VM or VDI to VDI user to user communication. So I can block any communication between the VDI machines, or I can allow only file share or whatever. Virtualization, we support multiple hypervisor, and we support multiple of broker, either Citrix or VMware. Actually, our go-to solution for on-prem VDI or private cloud VDI is Citrix on HV on Acropolis. So this is proven. This is deployed in a lot of our customers here in the region and worldwide, and very cost effective. And if you need to know more about it, let me know. We'll talk about it on another session or anything. And to complement a VDI solution, you have to have something file server to store the user profiles. So files is a for the user profile storage is very good use case because it's distributed workload and the distributed nature, and the performance is very good for the VDI solution. So if you look inside, you have multiple of nodes. Each node will have the CVM, as I mentioned. The machines or VDI machines are running. Each machine, if you are doing linked clone, so the master image or the golden image will be deployed on each Nutanix node. and the like the VDI clones will be just cloned locally inside each node. And we have Prism, of course, managing all of this and managing multiple of clusters. So this is to emphasize what I was mentioning about the great user experience when scaling. So here with American Red Cross, we have the consistent scaling. So the user experience for a specific applications for a 300 user, and when scaled to 3,000 users, it's literally linear or even decreased. The response time decreased when we are scaling. So this is, you cannot find it in a traditional, you cannot do it with a traditional 3-tier infrastructure or a competition when you are scaling this much users from 300 to 3,000. We'll talk about now Frame. Frame is our desktop as a service solution. It's a Nutanix product. And actually, we have a promotion right now for the customer. You can use Frame for 1 month totally free. You just need to pay for the infrastructure cost on the cloud. So when we say Frame here, we are deploying. We have the broker, Citrix or VMware running on Nutanix hardware. With Frame, we have Frame on the cloud as a SaaS offering, and it can be deployed on-prem or on the cloud. So if he's Nutanix customer, he can start using Frame right away and deploy the VDIs on his on-prem, or he can deploy it on the cloud, AWS or Azure. So why desktop as a service? Why to have something like that is instant start. So you can literally up in minutes to set up your accounts in minutes. One day to deploy the base image and start having integration with your Active Directory and all of that. And after that, the user can use your VDI solution right away. Top-notch security, because it's a SaaS, so the security is for the broker itself, for Frame itself, it's our concern. So you don't need to worry about it. The availability across the world globe, we have through the globe, and we have multiple clouds we can deploy on top of it, and change the way we spend from capex to opex. So here is infrastructure. We have our home directory can be stored on any cloud platform like OneDrive, OneBox, Dropbox, all of that, and or files. Infrastructure can be Amazon, AWS, Google, or any government cloud provider like AWS Gov Cloud or Azure Government, or it can be on-prem. And then the Xi Frame is our solution. It's running on our cloud, which is called Xi, and the user just integrated and choose whatever authentication. I will talk about it. And we have our other solution, Citrix Cloud or Citrix Insta can be deployed on the broker, can be on the cloud, and can be deployed. The virtual machines can be deployed on the VDI on the Nutanix hardware. So the user experience. So I didn't talk about the user experience for Citrix or Horizon because everybody knows about it. For Frame, so the user can have access to any workspace, any application can be deployed. It's VDI and application virtualization. The user will access it through any web browser. We support HTML5 or our own protocol. Like it's our protocol is HTML5, so most of the browsers support us. And for the cloud or the storage and security, we support something like Octa or OS0 or ADFS for Active Directory or Google Sign-On. Just integrate with it and start deploying the machines, and the storage will be, like I said, OneDrive or anything. The infrastructure can be any cloud. So how to start? So we start with the infrastructure. then authentication. We log into Frame, choose our infrastructure. Nutanix can provide the infrastructure on the cloud, or you have your cloud subscription you want to deploy it into, we can do that, or it's Nutanix hardware or on-prem hardware. And choose the authentication, choose the application you want to do, deploy, build your base image, choose the storage of the user profile, and start delivering to your administrator. So pick, as I said, pick the hypervisor, whatever you want, pick the authentication, whatever it's supported, bring your application license. We can install one Windows server to do the application virtualization for multiple of applications supported, and then connect the file, whatever is on-prem on the cloud, or start deploying to the end user. The end user will get an application dashboard and VDI dashboard. So to sum it up, our Nutanix solution is started with Core. Actually, in 2004, it was only Core, Acropolis, and Prism, and files were just coming there. And we've grown a lot, and beyond that, in 2020, we are truly building enterprise cloud and hybrid cloud solutions. So what we can run on Nutanix? Nutanix can be we support most, or not, if not any application is supported, and we have a use cases on the nutanix.com website, and you can have, when you are a partner, Nutanix partner, you can have accessibility to see the best practice of deploying something like VMware, VDI, or Citrix VDI, or Avaya, or Cloud, or Splunk. One of the biggest use cases actually with Splunk is Nasdaq, which is run on Nutanix. It's thousands of nodes running. Splunk is Nasdaq is a US exchange, New York exchange platform. So Splunk collecting all the data and store it on Nutanix hardware. So with Nutanix, we call for freedom of a choice, hypervisor, any hypervisor, any hardware, any cloud. This is a short list of our customers, building from 2009. We building our top brands are there. So you will see on the use case portal JetBlue, and you can go and check from there. You will see a lot of use cases related to you. So we have 5 support centers work around the clock. We have 7 support centers. We have something called Pulse, which is customer can enable. You can do the predictive support. So if something in the hardware or something in the box, the box itself will send to Nutanix support there is an issue. That you will see Nutanix support calling you or sending you an email. There is an issue. Please do 1, 2, 3. Enable us to come to log in and check it and solve it for you. Or it's a hardware issue, you will get the hardware sent to you. So when a Nutanix customer asked if he will buy a Nutanix again, 97% of them said yes. So 97% of customer satisfaction. And there is on Nutanix support, we have excellent support. If you didn't interact with it, it's very good support. The one you get answer your call, he will solve it with you. There is an independent company called Net Promoter. Net Promoter will evaluate the support of any call center or any support services, not just IT. So it's very hard to get 90 score from Net Promoter, but we've been getting it for the past since 2016 for the 5-year plus. So undisputed leader from HCI, from Gartner, from Forrester, for IDC. Since we bring HCI, we are the market leader. One study we did with IDC comparing the three-tier infrastructure with Nutanix HCI. The study concluded this is very good to send it to the customer, because to bring the customer to change, this is one of the easiest way to convince the CTOs and financial officers, CFOs, why they need to change and invest in Nutanix. Because at the long run, you will get a 60% lower TCO, 97% fewer unplanned outages, 534% 5-year ROI. So this is huge. This study was based on a big organization for 5 years, and the report on 5 years. So this is huge for any organization to have these savings. And we have a total TCO calculator online. We can calculate the customer workload and give him the calculation. And this 60%, it increased to 68% if the customer is using HV. So this is a good point to push to the customer. It's 8% more TCO saving. So I would like to thank you for attending this session. I'll just check if you have any questions. I will answer it. Thank you. Thank you, Vidar. Hope to see you soon again.
Thank you everybody for attending.